This will be for reference. Anytime you have a question, about anything at all, just feel free to ask. We've been using this platform Yaatly for a few months now. We've done maybe like five tournaments on it now, so we know it pretty well. But before we get started, if we could just get quick introductions from everybody to see who's here. If you could say what school you're from and what formats you do, so we just sort of know where everyone's at.
I'm Victoria Beard at Springwoods High School, and I've used for my own tournament classrooms.cloud, but I'm familiar with Campus and Hop-In.
Okay.
And my name is Quintessa Poole. I'm the after-school coordinator at C. King High School, and Ms. Richards is the coach for debate. So I'm just sitting in to kind of see what's been going on.
Okay, C. King, awesome. I used to teach at North Forest. We're not too far from y'all.
Oh yeah, right around the corner.
Yeah, I went to a basketball game or two over there. All right, who else do we have on the call? Looks like we just one more person. Or do we have more than that?
Victoria.
We've heard from Victoria, we've heard from Tessa. Okay, well.
Jeff is all we're missing.
Okay, well, we can just get started. All right,
okay.
So we're gonna basically, we're really excited for the upcoming December 12th tournament. It's the first joint tournament that we've done this year. It'll be the first one that we've done online. Mark is we have a PowerPoint presentation. We're not going through, it's a real long presentation. We're not gonna go through all of it. There's certain slides that we just felt it was easier to have a visual representation for what we want to talk about. But basically what we're going to go over today is how to access the Yaatly platform where debate happens, and then how to, and some of the specifics of our tournaments that are different from case tournaments, because since this is a joint tournament, we're going to try and incorporate customs and practices of both leagues, but since it's going to be on the Yaatly platform, there's certain things that case does that just aren't possible, certain things that Huddle does that we want to make y'all aware of. So we're going to be talking about the typical schedule, how to create and sign up for, how do you sign up for Yaatly and create the different profiles that you need to create for Yaatly, how to invite students, how to accept invitations, the different tournament features, and then what's very important is how to troubleshoot on Yaatly, because Yaatly is a very great platform. We love it. But sometimes some kids have microphone issues that we cannot fix, and we just have to go over how to resolve that. So I guess let's talk about this. You want to talk about the structure first, the schedule first?
Sure, that sounds perfect.
All right. So Mark.
So hi everybody. I see some familiar faces. Thanks everybody for logging in. Can everybody see the schedule on the screen? Okay. Okay. So we made it colorful because everybody likes color. Our schedule, this is going to be the schedule for December 12th. And we thought this would be a good place to just answer any questions you may have and generally go over the schedule. We're doing 4 rounds at this tournament. So I know we did 3 at the beginning, and I know this will be Case's first 4 rounds. So we're super excited about doing this together. It should be really good. So the day really starts off with check-in at 7 a.m. And the reason we have it so early is because with things being virtual and online, having people log into Yaatly, the platform, at 7 a.m. gives everybody time to make sure their students are there. If students aren't showing up at 7 or 7:10, that gives you the ability to reach out to them and pull them into the platform. You can test their mic issues and all those things during this time. This is also the time that Tony, John, and myself will be checking in with you to make sure your drops have been made or changes have been done. That's very important. And as you know, you've done virtual tournaments. It's very important to get that stuff done really, really early. You guys, and you'll see this more when we look into Yaatly, because we're actually going to ask you to go into it. But there is going to be a coaches lounge where all the coaches can hang out during the day and get their questions answered. It's actually going to be in the auditorium on Yaatly. We'll look more at that later. And so you'll be interfacing with us there. That's the same place where opening ceremonies is taking place. You'll see that opening ceremony starts at 8:15. So since you're logging on at 7, that gives you a good span of time to get everything in order and for us to do drops and changes before opening ceremonies. Our opening ceremonies are really fun. John gets everybody pumped up. He gets the expectations going. And it's a really good experience, not just for the students, but for you as well. It's really important all the students make it because all the expectations and things are talked about there, and it gets everybody on the same page. So after the morning is done, you'll see we get into the debate rounds proper, starting with round 0. Round 0 is something we've put in place this year because it lets the virtual environment work well. So basically what round 0 is, and I'll show you on the slide here, is it's not a real round, it's a mock round. It gives everybody a chance to make sure their technology is working, to get familiar with the platform, and it also lets us get last minute drops or changes that we didn't get earlier in the morning. So round 0 is super important. We'll also be popping in and out of rooms to like deal with issues and things like that. It usually goes really quick for 90% of the people. 90% of the people are done within a few minutes. Once they're done, they're welcome to give practice speeches or get feedback or just chat with the other team. Yeah. But yeah, round 0, do you want to talk a little bit about it?
This is what you're looking at is one of the slides from opening ceremonies. And the other thing that's really important about round 0 is, as Mark said, it's really our last opportunity throughout the day to track if we've lost any judges. Typically, this lasts about it can last about for anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. We try to be quick. We've improved our process for this a lot. Like at the first tournament, it took us almost 45 minutes to get everything settled, and it's been taking about 10 to 15 lately. What we're looking for is just to make sure that everyone can see and hear each other. There are lots of different ways that we can work around any mic issues that need to happen, but for the most part, you don't have to do anything as a coach. It's just for the students to show up. We create round 0 pairings. Basically, people go into the rooms. It's not competitive. There's no debating that actually happens, but it does alleviate tech problems for the rest of the day. We tend to see a drop. We tend to see most of our technical issues in the morning. Usually those get resolved or the kids drop out for the day in the morning, and then as the day goes on, it's usually fine. One extra note I wanted to say about the opening ceremonies and the start of the day, we try to do our first round 0 and first round pairings close to around 8:30 when during opening ceremonies. While I'm running the ceremony, Mark is usually doing the pairings for the first 2 rounds. Like we try to pair round 0 and round 1 at the same time, with the hope and understanding that the same people in round 0 will be there for round 1. But usually we see some minor changes between round 0 and round 1 such that we have to repair. So it's really important that you talk to your students and you just affirm with us that you've got everyone that you're going to have for the day and you've made all the drops that you're going to make. But then as you can see beyond that, once round 0 is done, it's just competitive debate for the rest of the day. I understand that Case is mostly going to be concerned with CX and Worlds, but we do have, I noticed we do have one school from Case that's adding in some Congress students. Is that school here today? Victoria, all right. So there's not much else to say about Congress. There's a morning session and an afternoon session. They're both required. It's just 2 prelim sessions. There's no elims or anything like that. But that is its own world, or governed by our great organizer, Shelly Martinez, who you may or may not be familiar with. She runs that thing really well. We use the TFA docket. There's a possibility, it's one step away from approval. There will be one item on that docket that was submitted by a Huddle student. That will be made available to you ahead of time this week. It'll probably be out tomorrow. We'll email it to you so your students have some time to look at that. We'll make sure you have all that. But other than that, the TFA docket they've already been working with, we're doing odd items in the morning and even items in the afternoon, correct? Mm-hmm. So we'll put all this in an email. It'll all be in front of you beyond then. Do we want to talk about technical forfeit?
Yeah, I guess we need to talk about 2 things to deal with technical issues. The first is we booked a lot of time for these rounds, and we basically give each team 15 minutes of tech time. And what we mean by that is if you have a team and they're having tech issues, let's say maybe it's a mic issue, maybe it's a camera issue, or any combination of things, they have 15 minutes once the round has started to fix that tech issue. Now, this is independent of prep time and things like that. It's specifically for tech issues. But if they go beyond those 15 minutes, then we basically ask that team to forfeit that round and try to resolve those issues. They're welcome to come back later in the tournament once they get their issues resolved. And during that time, all the tournament staff is going into rooms and also trying to help these issues be resolved. Any questions about that?
Ooh, go to the technical forfeit.
Yeah.
We do have some specific rules. So like if you're an LD debater and you can't resolve your issue in 15 minutes, you have to resign because you don't have a partner. But I do want to I want to point out that for CX, Worlds, and PF, if one of the members of that team can continue, or if any members of that team can continue on, they're welcome to compete as what we call a technical maverick. Technical maverick just means that your partner had to drop out for this round, but they're still eligible for, normally under our rules, if you are competing maverick for the day, you're not eligible for awards. But if you're a technical maverick, like your partner dropped out for technical issues, we decided it wasn't fair to keep kids in those situations out of the awards. So what we say is, you can be a technical maverick. You can finish the round by yourself and still be eligible for awards. We notate any students who've had to drop out for technical reasons. But if you're able to fix that issue after the round, you're welcome to just jump back into the tournament for the next round. We don't have any problems with students who are able to fix their issue in like 20 minutes. If it takes 20 minutes and you have to stay out of the round, but you need to switch over, but then you fix it, you can go back for the next round. That's fine with us. But this is something this is a huddle rule, the HISD rule that we've adopted, and it's not something that we see in CASE. So we just wanted to make sure everyone was aware that this is how we govern technical forfeits. We try to be as understanding as we can be with this, and certain judges will allow a little bit extra time if they feel like the issue is something that's like imminently resolvable within 16 minutes or 17. But one thing that we don't want to see is we don't want to see kids trying to jump like, oh, it's not working on this platform, but it works on this other platform. And then we had kids and teams jump from one thing to the next to try to get it to work, and it's just a mess. So we don't like to have kids forfeit for technical reasons, but this way it keeps it fair for everybody, gives everyone a strict time limit. 99% of the problems that happen with Yaatly can be resolved by a simple restart of the device. So that's usually what we suggest that people do, is they just restart the device. There is a new feature in Yaatly that is similar to a feature on Zoom. Like in Zoom, if you can't access the meeting through the Wi-Fi, you're able to dial in on your phone. Yaatly has now integrated that feature onto its own platform. So if one of your debaters is having a mic issue, they can just log out of the round and call in this number, and there will be a specific ID number for the meeting that they'll be able to dial in. But we'll show everyone that. But we just wanted to give everyone a general sense of what our tournaments look like and what we're going to do for December 12th. And I think now's a good stopping point to see if anybody has any questions. I know we saw a couple people walk in. So if you walked in late and you saw us talking about something and you're not sure what it was, feel free to ask the questions right now. Happy to talk to anybody, answer any question about anything whatsoever.
And Tony, is there anything we're missing that you think we should highlight? Yes, no.
Is there a tutorial for Yaatly? We're going to actually, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a screen share where we show you what Yaatly looks like and all the different features, and then we're going to actually help everyone get signed in and logged into Yaatly today.
Yeah. And I think this is also clear when you look at the schedule, but just to make sure. So LD and PF, I'm not sure if CASE is going to have any teams in LD and PF, but if you do, LD and PF run on a faster schedule than CX and Worlds. So if you do have both divisions, just know that there's two different tracks during the day. You'll see if you look down at round 4, you'll see that round 4 for LD and PF is over at 3:30, where for CX and Worlds, it's over at 5:30. So just note that difference between the two schedules if you're going to have teams in any of those divisions.
I also posted a YouTube link to this presentation. So if you want to see this presentation that we have has a ton of Yaatly specific issues. I'm trying, forgive me for a second, I'm trying to help Tony unmute herself so she can talk. I thought I allow participants allow participants, okay. So I'm sorry, Tony, try to unmute yourself now.
Okay, yes.
Awesome. I'm so sorry. I always check that box that says allow people to unmute themselves, and I always end up turning it off. I don't know.
Okay.
I hate Zoom. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No problem. So everything that you're saying is good. I think giving an overview of the schedule, since this is how you've already done, this is our first time doing the 4 rounds. The technical Maverick rule is something that Case also has as well. So it's the same rules.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, let everybody know that ultimately all the rules are essentially the same. But there will be different things that you all should look out for, which you kind of mentioned about Congress, and then also, I don't know if we're going to have any LD or PF. I haven't seen that yet, or someone hasn't mentioned that LD and PF will be, if they'll have any entries this time. There may be, but I'm not sure. One thing I want everyone to know is that for World Schools impromptu rounds, we will have 2 as well. And then also the breakout rooms and how we've structured it at Case tournaments is going to be different when it comes to Yachtly. And so we'll probably go over that today. So for World Schools, that is going to be a different process for how breakout rooms happen.
And one thing, I'm glad, Tony, thank you so much for bringing up World Schools, because that's something I completely forgot about. Yachtly, the platform, which Mark is now logging into, it was started as specifically a World Schools platform. This is a program designed by Steve Johnson and Dane Schoonover.
Sounds good to me.
Steve is a he's a college debate coach at University of Alaska at Anchorage. And he created this program because his students at Alaska, it's very difficult for them to compete with other schools because they're in Alaska. And the nearest schools to them are all just in Alaska. And if they wanted to compete with anyone who wasn't in Alaska, it would just be prohibitively expensive. And so he just one day was like, I'm kind of frustrated with the lack of connectivity that my team has to the rest of the world. It would be really awesome if they could just come up, communicate virtually with me and with other teams. And so he set up this platform. Specifically because he had world-style teams that I think he really wanted to design a platform for. So what you're seeing right now is an example of the Yachtly lobby. And there's a couple of things that Mark was talking about that we want to point out right away. The first is the auditorium, which you can see Mark is circling around it with his cursor now. The auditorium is where we're going to meet, we're going to ask all coaches to meet throughout the day. And what we typically do is we typically set up a meeting on Microsoft Teams for our coaches so that they can have 2 meetings at once. What the auditorium in Yachtly allows is that we can create a Zoom meeting room in there, and that allows you to meet on Yachtly and on Zoom at the same time. And when you go into the auditorium, this is where we do the opening ceremony. It's the meeting place for everybody at the start of the day. But then after the opening ceremonies are done, we are going to basically communicate with all coaches in the auditorium. So if you can just leave the Zoom meeting link open all day, and
I don't know what.
Mark lost the screen. But basically, the auditorium is where, like, any information that we would need to pass around to coaches, or anytime we need to talk to somebody, we're going to go to the auditorium and talk about it. We try to keep the messaging and the announcements to a minimum. We understand that you're all busy coaching, so we don't want to overload you with information. Usually it's information regarding like schedule changes, or whenever we post ballots, we want to let you know when we post the ballots, just things of that.
Record again. All right. Okay, so we have started recording again. Where were you, John?
Oh Lord, mine is converting video, so I can't even join the meeting. My Wi-Fi's still out. So we were talking about the auditorium, but that's where we're going to be convening throughout the day. And one of the things that Yachtly allows us to do is, if we need everyone all coaches to report to the auditorium because we want to talk about something, we can send out an all event message, and Mark can show you what that looks like. Basically, when we want to talk to you, what we're going to do is we're going to make an event announcement that's just like, we're going to say, attention coaches.
Yeah.
And then that way you know that we're going to just please go to the auditorium. And
Might
then
be spelled right or wrong. I don't
doesn't
know.
matter. And then you'll see in the top right hand corner, you see this that message, and it does not go away until you click it. So that's how we're going to be talking to everybody. But I think the main things we want to what else do we want to show them on this page before we get into the pairings? Oh, the team rooms.
Yeah, so the team room right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the auditorium, that's for large group meetings in the coaches lounge, but you'll also see the team room. Does everybody see that? Can I get an audible yes?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so the team room is specific to you and your debaters. So if you need a private place to strategize between rounds or just gather your team, that's what the team room is. So this is where you might tell your students to go once they log in the morning. It has video. It's just like a Zoom call in there. So that's a good place for your team to kind of self-organize during the event. On the left of the page, there's just some things you can see. The schedule will be posted there. You can look at it at any time. You can also see topics in there at any time. So it's just a good place for you. If you like forget what's happening next, you can easily find the schedule on this left-hand toolbar. Do you think anything else before the pairings?
Well,
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
You should be in.
And I'm back, muted. All right.
Okay, so that's the auditorium and that's the team room. That's the two main features you're gonna need. But for the tournament, you're gonna be doing a lot of things lower on the page. This round 0 that you see right here, this is actually pairings for the tournament we've done this year. So this is exactly what pairings are gonna look like. You'll see that every single division has a tab here. Right now it's on CXJV, but if you were looking for Varsity CX, you would click on Varsity CX and those pairings would come up. If you were looking for Varsity World Schools, you would click there and you'd see the pairings for Varsity World Schools. So it's super easy to navigate. So you'll have that for debate. If you have any Congress debaters, you'll see that Congress also has chambers here. All the students have to do is click on the join button and they join the appropriate chamber. Lower down on the page, we'll have the judges lounge. This is where the judges will be when they're not actively judging a debate round. And then we have staff rooms, and we're gonna be deleting this coach lounge. We're not gonna be using that, so ignore that.
And then I think the last thing we need to show you is the pairing room. The pairing rooms themselves. And the nice thing about these pairing rooms is you'll see in a second is graphically they're set up to look like a debate round, which will make more sense once we're actually in. But there's a few World School specific features that I want to make sure that you're aware of. So let's just go ahead and go into a room. And then after we're done showing you this, we're going to get everyone signed up for Yaatly. It's a real simple procedure. It's a free account. We're going to, as Huddle will cover, Huddle is covering the cost of the tournament. So it's not going to cost anybody any money.
Yeah, so we're gonna go into this room and debaters would just look for their name. So if I was Andy Lopez, I would simply look down on the World Schools pairing, say, oh, there's my name. Let me join that round. So that's what we're gonna do. Since my name's Andy Lopez, I'm gonna look for my name and I'm gonna join as that team. So I'm gonna select that. And then you are moved into the Yaatly room. They tell you about all the new features, so you can read that or not. But here's how the room looks once you go inside.
And each student will have their own, so like on a World Schools team, if you have like each competitor, if they're logging in from a different location, will come in with their own screen. And so each member of the team will get this section of the screen to appear on. And they'll be able to see their teammates, they'll be able to see the other team, and they'll be able to see the judge at the bottom. Now, what's really awesome about Worlds, and Tony mentioned this with the impromptu rounds, is typically in an impromptu round, you would have the kids separate in the room and they would be working together quietly to prep. Yaatly has a really awesome feature specific to World Schools called the prep room. And it's that blue button that you're seeing Mark circle around there. And Mark is actually when Mark clicks on that room, it takes the students to a separate chat room that only their members of their team and the judge can get into. So the judge is able to actually go into the room and monitor the students and make sure they're following the rules, make sure they're talking and engaged and they're getting ready, make sure there's no technical issues. Sometimes there are technical issues that arise, and so it's important that the judge be aware of that. But for the first 30 minutes of the round, the kids are able to communicate with each other in this chat room. And so they don't need to be they don't need to be communicating in any other way. They can get in this room, they can hear each other, talk things out. It's a really awesome feature, but it's not the only awesome Yaatly feature, because the other awesome Yaatly feature that for Worlds is related to the POI. And so there's a POI button right there. Mark's going to click on it. And so when you have a POI, there's a graphical indicator for the judge to see POI. So like it's still, they can still pass it. They can still choose to ignore it or decline it. But this way, there's definite record of a POI having been, lodged, and it's probably a little bit easier than having the students call out POI, because that, with mic issues specifically, that can become a problem. So they need to say it still, but if they say it, click the button. The judge knows that there's been one there, and if you have an experienced World Schools judge who likes to keep track of those things, this is an easy way for them to make note of it. The other thing that these rooms have is they have a general room chat feature where everyone can talk to each other. This is especially useful in situations where the mic goes out and you need to communicate with that student. But the other thing that this chat has, and Mark's going to type something. Yeah, Mark's basically doing something silly. If you click on the section where it says room chat,
Where is that?
just right underneath that.
Oh, I see.
So individual members of the team can select the option to chat amongst themselves. And this is not viewable by the other team. It's only members of that team. So if the kids who aren't speaking want to pass notes to each other or talk to one another in a certain way, like they would do in a normal round where they're just passing notes or doing whatever communication they normally do, they have that ability. The other thing that the room has in the chat is Mark already clicked on it. Go to the members. You can actually see who's in the room, which is really important because Yaatly allows observation. Unfortunately, it does not allow you, like as an observer, when you go in, no one can tell that you're in the room. So if Mark goes in as an observer, he's completely undetectable, except if he clicks on that members tab that we just showed you, and then you can see who's in the room. So if you want to watch your kids in a round, but you don't want to disrupt the round or anything like that, go in as an observer and you can watch the round and coach your kids however, you typically do that. But I think, we need to show them the backup room.
Okay.
I know this is a lot of information, so if we're going too fast or we need to share something, just stop us. I was a teacher until this last May, so I'm used to just getting stopped at random. So I won't lose my train of thought or anything, but let's say, for instance, there's a technical issue. The mic goes out or it's just something's not displaying right. It happens. Go to these dots that Mark is showing you, and you can join the backup room. And the backup room is just a regular chat room. And this is where you have the ability, it's Mark, if you go to that down there, this is where you have the ability to create a dial-in number for the students to call. And this way they can call that number. And if their internet just is not gonna let them do it, they can call in. We tested this feature earlier today. It works great. The sound quality is good. There's a slight delay between the audio. So someone on the phone, if they're listening, is going to hear things on like a half-second delay from when it's actually said in the round, but there's no loss in fidelity. There's no loss in audio quality. It all works really good. So we understand we just dumped a whole lot on all of you. And I know it's the end of the day and everyone's tired. I'm dragging my feet as well. But what we're going to do now is we're going to slow the pace down a lot. We're going to walk everybody through the process of creating an account in Yaatly. And we're going to make sure that everybody who's on the call today creates an account, creates an organization, and is able to be invited to our event. So I guess the best way to do this is to just log off of Yaatly and start from scratch. So Mark is going to log off the event. We're recording this so that you can watch it later, but I'll say that if at any point you need to come back to us and you need to ask us questions, Tony has our contact information, so you can reach out to her and she'll put you in contact with us. And we're like anytime between now and the tournament, if you need to ask us questions because this presentation just didn't do it for you and you need our help, let us know. We make ourselves available to everybody to help out with this platform. But in order to get started, everyone right now, go to yaatly.com. And what you're going to do is in that top right-hand corner, you're going to see an option that says sign up and log in. It's a free account. So you just sign up. It doesn't cost any money to sign up. The only thing that costs money on Yaatly is, events. And if you're not hosting an event, you just create an account like so. And
Everybody there.
we'll just wait a sec. We're going to give everybody a second to get to the screen. And then if you could just show an indication, some kind of indication.
Thumbs up.
If you just give us a thumbs up on the camera or raise your hand, do the little raise hand feature, which I never am able to find. Where did it go? It always disappears on me.
Doesn't like you.
No, it doesn't like me. Where's the raise hand? Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. Just some kind of indication that you're there. All right, and so once you're there, feel free to just go ahead and sign up and create an account, a free account. We're gonna log in and show you what the lobby page looks like before you get into the event. So when you first sign up in Yaatly, it's gonna ask you to create an organization. What that means is that you're creating basically an online version of your team. So just when you create the organization, just name it after your high school and just say like,
Her debate team, Springwood's debate team.
yeah, something like that. Just say your high school campus name plus debate team. This is gonna be your team online basically. And so when your students you're gonna create an organizational account. Your students are not going to create this account. You're going to basically invite your students onto the Yaatly platform. Your students are not going to sign up for Yaatly. You're going to sign them up, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, please interrupt me now. All right, so in order to create an organization, you scroll over to the sidebar and you click create a new organization. So we're gonna do that now. And you should see something pop up like this. We'll create a new organization called Huddle Case Debates. And once it ascertains that no one else has that name, which shouldn't be an issue, you hit create. And so you should have a new organization. So right now, everyone should have an organization for their team, but we're going to give it a few minutes. Just to make sure everyone has the time. If anyone is having any difficulties creating an organization, please let me know now.
Was this where we just put like our team name or just case debate?
No, put your team name. Put your actual like high school team name.
Okay, well, I screwed up and put my team name.
That's
for
okay.
My other name.
That's okay. If you go to settings, you can rename the team, or you can just
Okay.
create a whole new organization. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, she wants the yaatly.com link in chat.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna drop that in chat. So it's just yaatly.com. It's gonna be there. And when it's there, just click on it and you'll see the sign up button in the top right-hand corner. If you don't mind, let us know if you see it okay. Awesome.
All right, cool. And then once you've created an organization, basically the way that this is going to work is that you're going to receive, once it's closer to tournament time, you're going to receive an invitation from us. And what we're going to do today is we're going to invite you to our demo event, which is like Yaatly allows you to create what they call demo events, which are just, you get to log in and see all the features. And so Mark is going to post, he's going to post an invite link in the chat. Once you get that invite link, you're going to click on it and we should be able to show you, actually, well, you'll see in a second. It makes more sense once the link is there. But basically, we're going to be emailing everybody a link to join the events. And once you get the link, don't share that link with your students. You're going to invite your students after the fact. We're going to show you that. It's a separate process. We're going to show that to you. Once you've done all this, you only have to do it once, and then you don't ever have to do it again. So the Yaatly invite link is on screen. And actually, if you could show them the screenshot.
Sure.
From
Which
the
one
top.
are we looking at?
I think it's, just keep going, keep going.
Oh, that's what the link's gonna look like.
There we go. So you should see an event that, like, if you notice on this screen, you should see an event that says accept invite, and your organization should appear. And just let us know in the chat if that's not what you see.
Got a pretty good group today.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. The old PD joke. Oh, this is our GT class. Hated that. Always hated being in PDs, and then like they call us, you're the GT group. We're all the GT group. Many of us have advanced degrees, but anyway. So once you've accepted the link, you're able to come to our demo event. And so what the demo event is every feature that would be at a normal tournament is there, but there is a strict 20-minute time limit on all the chat rooms. Once you've hit that limit, that 20-minute limit, it'll kick you out. You can still go in, but it's a 30-second limit after that. And that, it's kind of annoying, but it's for free. Normally we have to pay to use a full feature, so there's a free event. But basically, by now, you should have access to a free demo event. Once you're in that demo event, you just click RSVP and you should be in. And so right now, just try to get into the event and play around with it. If you can't get into the event, let us know in the chat so that we can help you individually.
Is anyone in the event at this point? Uh-oh.
It's okay. It takes a minute. All right, Derek is in. That's good. And so just once you're in, just take a few minutes to play around with it, get used to it. Like Yaatly doesn't really make a lot of sense until you actually get into it first. And so we're going to get invite for action. So we typically send that invite out. What we do, we try to get the Wednesday before that tournament, we'll send an invoice to Yaatly with the number of people that we're going to have and how much they're going to bill us. Their billing process is very strange. You don't have to really worry about that so much, but it's based on the number of people using the event over a specific length of time. It's got its own calculation formula, but we send that invoice on Wednesday and we pay it on the Wednesday before. So that Thursday before the tournament, you will get an invite link for the tournament that will allow you to enter the event as a demo event. And so ahead of time, you can actually have your students access the real life tournament event ahead of time, starting that Thursday. We're going to try and set a goal of getting this out to you like the Thursday before, like Thursday, that would be the 10th. I believe December 10th. Hold me to that, because I think we can. It's going to be dependent on, making sure all of our numbers are solid, but everything is usually solid by the Wednesday before. We pay the invoice, we set up the event, we send out, we populate it with all the things we need to populate it with, and then we send out the link. And once you send out the link, we're going to show you after everyone is in, we're going to show everyone how to invite their students to the event. From here on out, it's fairly straightforward. The problem is this initial stage is really messy, and I'm just going to say it. It is kind of a messy process. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's a really great platform after you can finally get in. And a lot of our coaches had a lot of confusion with this right away. So like if you're feeling confused or you're feeling like this doesn't make sense, just know it confused us, and we will proselytize for this program forever, but I can't defend how difficult it is to get in. It makes no sense.
Are people unmuted if we ask a question to specific people at this point? Like Vicky, what problem are you having?
I figured it out once I got off my phone.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah,
I tried to do it on my phone, but then I got to a certain point, I couldn't see anything. So
So that's
I
the other
just-
thing we need to mention. Yaatly does not work on phones.
yeah, I figured that out.
Sorry, we've asked them, and we're going to be working. We work with them pretty closely, and we've brought up numerous times with them that, y'all, this is 2021. This is 2020, practically 2021. People are doing this stuff on their phones. You can do a backup. There are certain ways you can access it with the phone. Like you can do the backup. Jitsi has a mobile app, so like if someone, for example, if you have a debater, for example, that's their primary means of accessing the internet is on their phone, what they can do is once they go into the round, if they let the judge know right away, hey, I'm on my phone, I need to go to the backup room, they can go to the backup room. Jitsi has a mobile app. They can get on the mobile app and use that, or they can call in. That's, I think that's what you meant there. Yeah, they can call in on the phone as a means of backup, but the Yaatly platform is thus far only browser-based. It's just how it is. And I think a lot of the reason that is the way that it is because Yaatly is hosted on Amazon Cloud Services. And so in order to keep their costs down, they don't have a mobile app because it's easy for them to, like, they can scale this up however much they want, and it doesn't cost them anything extra.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we can see that some of you are having success getting in. I see the Spring Woods team has made it in. One thing I would, before the tournament comes up, because I see some of you are entering with your personal names. When you enter, you want to make sure you, because you're going to have an organization to invite your students to. So I see some personal names in here, but by the time the debate tournament comes, you want to have an organization that's named after your school's debate team. And that organization you can invite your students to. So once you accept the invitation on behalf of your organization, all of the students you've added automatically get in. So
we should show people how to add members now. All right, so what we're gonna show you, do not use Internet Explorer Edge. Do not use those, it only works in Chrome. I have to emphasize this a lot, like, please do not have your students use Internet Explorer Edge to get into this, because that's gonna, oh my God, I'm sorry, that triggered me a little bit. It has to be Chrome. It will not work on anything else. So once you've got an organization set up, the first thing you need to do is invite your students. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to members, and we're going to pause here, let everyone get over here. Yeah, we have an invite. We're going to invite. I accepted invite, but still 0 events. Huh.
we can work with there later.
Yeah. If you're still having issues, drop your email in the chat. Send me a private message in chat, and I can email with you after this meeting, and we can get it sorted. Because it should have you. I don't know what's going on. We can figure it out. But basically, once your organization is set up, oh yeah, this is an excellent point. Thank you. You have to select you have to actually RSVP into the event, and I wonder. This is so hard to do.
Yeah, I can actually show y'all real quick. Where is the event chat? I need to get to that.
To go into the event.
I mean, I need the chat from Zoom.
Oh, go to
More. There it was. Come on.
No, scroll over there. Be patient. There you go. All right.
Okay. So the link's up higher. I'm gonna show y'all what it looks like. So I have a lot of organizations, but I am going to join as this school. So let's pretend I'm North Houston Early College High School. I just got the invitation link. When I click on it, I see this. I want to find my organization. Click on it. You'll see that the organization is checked, and then you'll accept the invite. So now your organization is there and everything's good to go. Once you've accepted the invite, this page, you're done with it. So you don't need that page after you accept the particular invite. So I'm gonna go to the page that we just went to and see if we can show you what RSVPing looks like. There we go. So once you accept an invite, if you go to the events tab, there's 3 things on your tab in Yaatly: events, members, and settings. You wanna make sure you're going to the events tab after you've accepted an invitation. You'll see this huddle test event. It says RSVP over here. You have to click RSVP, then it changes to enter event. If I would click enter event, I'd go to the lobby, which we've already seen.
Okay. So with that done, you're finally gonna invite your students. And so when it's time to invite students, I think people are, all right. So when it's time to invite students, you go to invite members, and then you just put your students' school district emails in here. We ask all of our coaches to enter Houston ISD emails, but since everyone's in different districts and different schools, whatever their school email is, use that. That way it's a you know, it all stays above board. And once your students are invited to your organization, any event that you accept an invitation to, they're automatically RSVP to that event. So if you've got 10 kids on your team and you accept you accept the invite from our organization to join our event, all 10 members of your team have already gotten their invite to the tournament. Your students do not need to do anything at all other than show up for the day. But
Yeah, one little hack here that's good to know is when you're inviting members, there's 2 ways to do it. If you're only doing like 2 or 3 at a time, you can just do this and put in 1 email, 2 emails, 3 emails. But if you have a large team with like 10 plus debaters and the idea of typing in 10 emails is like pretty frustrating, you can click on this little tab here that says copy paste emails, and you can just paste the list of emails separated by commas, and it does it really quickly for you. So if you have a lot of kids, that's how I'd recommend doing it. When you look at your members page, everyone on the top, these are the people that have accepted your membership, and everyone else you've invited are those at the bottom that you've invited but haven't accepted. So that's a good way for you to check on your students to see who's done what they need to do and who hasn't.
And what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to put my email address in the chat. And if you have if you want to test this out, you can invite me to your organization. And also, this is where you could send me questions too. So if you're not sure, if you have questions after this, email me here and I'll get right back to you. But if you want to invite me to your organization so that I can look around and see that you've done everything right, feel free to add me in, and then I can delete you can delete me later once we've looked in. But we understand that this process is a little confusing, and we kind of had to rush through it because we wanted to honor everyone's time and not extend this beyond the 4 o'clock time limit we said. But this is my email address. Feel free to ask me literally anything. We've encountered almost every single situation that can occur. So we know how things work. This has been like an introductory survey to it. There's a lot. It can get fairly complicated. We try to keep it from getting too complicated on your end, but we understand like you're already being asked to learn a million different platforms. And so we understand it's a big ask that we ask you to learn a whole new platform. But, we've had a lot of great success with Yaatly. We love the customer service that we give. We love that it's an independently owned company. It's just basically 2 guys who are always awesome. They respond to emails pretty quickly. Anytime we have an issue with them, we call them and they respond like right away. But we understand that like you've just learned classrooms.cloud and now we're asking you to learn Yaatly, and they're 2 wildly different platforms that don't have a lot of overlap. So that's why we wanted to have this meeting like well in advance of the 2 weeks, so that if anyone needs to call us or talk to us, what we can do is, if this didn't make sense, it was just an introduction to it, and we can do an individual screen share with any individual coach to help you get signed up. And then if need be, if need be, we can do it multiple times. Email us. We want to make sure everyone has a good tournament. We want to make sure all the coaches are able to show up and not have to worry about this in the morning. Because one thing that will happen with some coaches who are not paying, some coaches aren't able to get all their stuff ready until the morning of, and those coaches usually have a really rough day because, you all know the pace of a tournament. Once things get started, there's really not a lot of downtime to work through these issues. And so I highly encourage you, blow up my inbox. I don't care. I get a lot of emails, most of which I'd rather ignore in favor of doing stuff like this. So the more you bother me, the more fun I get to have. Human interaction is what I want. It's boring being in an office all day. I'm sure Tony can agree.
Will you send us this recording too?
Oh, absolutely. Once it's done converting, we'll send you the PowerPoint, we'll send you the
Okay.
recording, and then we'll send it to Tony, and Tony will send it to you because we don't have everyone's email address. We see we have a hand raise. I guess is that an applause or a hand raise? I don't know. I can't tell. I think that's applause. I don't know.
Tony, I wanted to make sure you had a chance to ask any questions or clear up anything we brought up.
No, I think everything went well. You went over everything. So I don't have any questions just yet. So I think everything's okay. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them now if you can think of any. I know it's a lot of information to take in. You don't always know what questions that come up a little bit later on. And I do also want to just thank everybody for at least this one tournament that we're jumping on a different platform so that we can collaborate with HISD to do this tournament. So I appreciate it.
We really appreciate your flexibility. We understand, this has been a very difficult year for all of us, and so we understand that jumping from platform to platform requires an enormous amount of energy, and so we want to make sure that we're doing right by you and your students. So if any of your students need help or any of the coaches need help, please, we'll take on that. We'll take on any questions that you have, and if anyone has any questions now, we'll stick around for a few minutes, and anyone who wants to stick around and just ask us questions, who has time, we don't have really anything, I don't have anything else going on today, so feel free to just ask them, but other than that, I think we've covered everything that needs to be covered. We're really excited for December 12th. We're really excited. I think it's really fun whenever the two leagues get a chance to really compete against one another, and the different coaches get to learn, talk to each other, and the students get an opportunity to see some fresh faces, get some fresh rounds in. I'm real excited, especially for Policy and Worlds. I think they're going to be a lot of fun this tournament with new rounds, new opponents. Policy can get real tedious if you're debating against the same 3 teams all the time. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah, excited too. Looking forward to seeing everyone virtually in a week or so.
Oh, and then feel free to pass my email around to other coaches in your districts that that might need to ask me questions. Don't mind. Anything and everything. My email's in the chat. And if I don't know the answer, Mark probably does. And if Mark doesn't know, we can call Yaatly, and Yaatly will tell us. So other than that, we're just open for questions.
I have a question that